There's
Thanks for
footballers
coming.
out there. That's insane. Like,
Who have you seen now?
There's Matoma. Well, my God. You're a hell of a player, but go and put like a bin on the pitch, some rubble, like broken glass.
You're starting to describe my childhood.
That's what I was just talking to you guys. Your photographer got here about where you are now. It's just mind-blowing. It gives false hope to us and other clubs, you know, because this is nuts. This is otherworldly.
So, Joe, welcome to the training ground here at Lancing. Is this your first visit to a Premier League training ground?
Yes, kind of. I've been to a Championship training ground.
Whoa,
Does that count?
No.
Went to Leeds training ground with Patrick Bamford last year. Took a free kick, let myself down. Have nightmares about it.
And Patrick Bamford, you let him down as well.
Yeah, exactly. And I had to, about 5 or 6 of the first team came out to watch.
Put a bit of added pressure on.
Yeah, it was awful.
What did you do then? Did you just shank it or something? Or?
Honestly, it hit the little metal wall thing. You know, the little...
did they have the mannequins up?
Yeah,
Okay.
But I'll tell you how bad it was. It bounced before it hit it. There you go.
Do you know what, Joe? I believe that because we've had a
here
kick
we
around
go,
at Gillingham before, haven't we?
It was really slippy that day. I had next to no grip.
I will give you that.
You couldn't look at me, could you?
You could see the disappointment in my eyes through my smile.
Yeah, you were grinning, but I didn't believe one of those teeth.
So this training ground, I mean, it's like
Incredible,
visiting a kind of luxury, you know, I won't say spa because that'll give the wrong impression, but you know what I mean? It's a luxurious
Beautiful,
place.
isn't it? Full of really fit people as well, which is not good for the soul, is it? Everyone's in good nick. It's horrible.
Yeah. At least they get paid to be fit. We don't.
Exactly. Jesus. No, it's just met the manager as well. Ursula Crumbs. That was overwhelming.
Mm-hmm.
And Bobby Zamora. Did I look like I was playing it cool when I met him, do you think?
Yeah, you seemed pretty cool when you met the gaffer as well.
I wasn't. I was absolutely all over the shop.
Do you know, it's funny that people that are really successful in their own lives can just turn to jelly when they meet professional footballers. Why is that?
Do you know what? It's absolutely true. I don't mean this horribly, but if I meet like an actor or comedian or whatever from anywhere, I don't really care. But if I meet a footballer, like a Walsall footballer or anyone, I find it overwhelming because it's just that. Because for me, they're living the dream. Mm. Do you know what I mean? It's like they've done that thing I couldn't. I found out at about 9 I was never going to do well. Do you know what I mean? And then I can't imagine what their life's like or what it's been like or what it's going to be like. I met Archie Gray, and he was still at Leeds, but he hadn't gone to Spurs yet. And everyone was talking about it, and all I could think was, "You're never going to work in WH Smith's. You're never going to have a job."
Yeah, but also when you flip it the other way, they can never do what you do.
Well, I think anyone could, to be honest.
No, but it's true. Like, to be able to get up in front of people and make them laugh, that is an unbelievable skill.
Well, I can't do it consistently.
Archie Gray may buy WH Smith, by the way. He might not.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, he'll have a couple of branches, but honestly, it's too much for me to be around footballers. I find it so. And we met on Football Focus. Yeah, I could not get my head round. I was on Football Focus because I've been obsessive about Football Focus my whole life. Literally, my missus said to it, like, because sometimes I have to do the chore, you know, clean the house on a Saturday, and at like 12:15, she'll know 12:10, I'm not.
Cup of tea,
yeah,
sitting down,
and there's no like, what are you doing? It's like, and it'll be, but I'll start again at 1. But I'm religious. I was like, and I kept saying to Load, I said, "Are you sure this isn't a?" I'm not going to add. And same with your podcast. I'm not going to add any value here. I'm literally just a tourist.
I think we hit record numbers that day, Joe.
Shut up.
So
That made me cry.
So 12:10, you just drop the Hoover and go silent. And
Absolutely, I love it. I've been upset, and when they said, because I did a little video from the year before, because obviously Gillingham were in the cup. We were playing. We played Sheffield United, I think.
Was it Sheffield United?
Yeah,
I can't remember who the opposition was.
Well, she didn't 3-0, 4-0. We didn't deserve a spanking like that, but then they said, "Oh, look, come on." And then suddenly I was on the edge of the pitch, and as a fan, you won't understand it because you've played, But I'm like going, "This is where they run about."
But you must have been on Gillingham's pitch before that.
No.
No, that was the first time.
Yeah, no, literally, I was looking at where I could literally see where I sit and all the different angles, and then I was like looking down the tunnel bit where they walk up. It was mind blowing for me. This was just like.
Did you never invade the pitch at any point when you?
Well, I have a mate who did it
We'll
once.
have to get you to the Amex.
I guess there was nothing to celebrate at Gillingham.
No, there was not. Yeah, mid-table rush on the pitch. Yeah, bit OTT. Well, actually, my mate did that. But I was
with no clothes on.
Thank God. There was a little discussion because I go with my brother and some friends. They're a little bit older than me. There was a discussion. We'd done nothing. I can't remember what year. It was probably like 20 years ago. And there was chat about running on the pitch, because we used to be at the town end. That was terracing. So we were near the front. And
How many beers did you have at this stage?
Pardon? Oh, probably a few. Yeah, but there was a chat about running on the pitch, and everyone was yeah, and. Honestly, we were like 14th or something, and there's no reason. Last day of the season, no reason to do it. But we're Anyway, one of the lads ran on, and we obviously all just stopped. He went 30 yards on.
He got banned for life.
Yeah, well, he was just. You could just see all the wind go in his sails, and he was just like, and then sort of came back like, yeah, and then they just went, just get back in. He was like. Running on the pitch, embarrassing.
Of course, Gillingham's a bit of a dirty word in Brighton, in the sense that Brighton fans remember it as the 4 motorway home game when they were ground sharing. Were you around at the time? Did you go and watch Brighton at Gillingham?
I didn't see Brighton play at Gillingham because we would do alternate weeks, wouldn't we? No, I never saw you play at the Priestfield. As a home game, no, I didn't. I was probably going to a few games around that time, but not. I wasn't going to a load of games, so I was. It was a bit of a tough time for you guys.
Did Gillingham fans get on that? Did they bother when you've got football on your doorstep once every week kind of thing? Did they think, oh, you know what, we might as well go and watch some football?
I'm sure people did, but not that anyone I know was like it was. It's hard to say because it was.
I'm not saying it was a good watch, but
but it was a tough time for Brighton fans, and it wasn't like it was an energised club at the time. No. So you weren't really being sucked into the euphoria of an hour and 40-minute drive to a home game. You know what I mean? It was survival, wasn't it? Really. So it wasn't very infectious, I'd say, in the nicest possible way. But that's what I was just talking to you guys. Your photographer got here about where you are now. It's just mind blowing. It gives false hope to us and other clubs, because this is nuts. This is otherworldly.
Mm.
Were they in the same division at that time, Gillingham and Brighton, or were Gillingham above them?
God, I can't remember. I think you're in the league above, weren't you?
Okay.
How did you end up as a Gillingham fan, by the way?
I went from Kent, and my brother, mate. I've got an older brother. My dad's from North London, big Spurs fan. We were brought up as Spurs fans, and then my brother and his best mate made the executive decision to drop Spurs and become Gillingham fans because it was a local club, which I am. I've spoken about as friends.
I thought you were from Bromley.
I was born in Bromley.
Okay.
But I grew up in Kent, and it's great to follow your local club, but a bit of me, you go, I know Spurs haven't, but could have, if I'd
just could have been a heartbreak in a different package.
Yeah, exactly. But older brother thing, isn't it? If he makes the decision, so that's all on him, really.
I know it's heresy to change your club, but in theory you could drop Gillingham and adopt Brighton, couldn't you, now that you live in the town?
Well,
it wouldn't go down very well.
No, it wouldn't. I do go to some games though, because I've got a lot of friends who are Brighton fans, and do you know what, it's like, I don't know, talking about football, you get in trouble for anything.
Yeah.
Right? Oh, yeah. And I do go to some games, and I love watching the football, and I'm not a neutral because I obviously follow Brighton, but you can watch a game differently when you're not that emotionally attached. So you got some incredible talent in every club, And if you take out the emotion, because I will sit there in the Brighton end and celebrating with Brighton, but I can go, God, that was incredible. So I don't know, someone from Man City does something, or you go, God, incredible. And I can see it. I literally see it differently to my mate sitting next to me. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
He'll go, well, he got a bit lucky with a touch. I was like, no, that was incredible.
Yeah.
And so I get to watch this incredible game through a sort of different lens, if you know.
That's so true. Yeah.
But you're like that at Gillingham.
Oh yeah, really, really, really not biased at all. No.
It's a really good point though, because you could watch. Glenn and I were talking about how good the Brighton Bournemouth game was. Fantastic game of football. So if you're a neutral, you'd have enjoyed watching both teams produce this incredible level of football. If you're the analogy I would use, if you've had a bet in a horse race, you're only watching your horse. You're not watching the race.
That's really
and it's the same with football fandom, isn't it? It distorts your judgment.
Oh, 100%. But I think what's interesting, Brighton are a club neutrals watch now. I think you can pick a few teams out where you go, if it's on the telly, and regardless of living in Brighton, you're watching Brighton games. They're great to watch.
Yeah.
So it's particularly nice to go to the game with mates who are Brighton fans, but literally, as I say, just go. This is
just be there to enjoy the day.
Yeah.
Not worry about the results.
No, it doesn't ruin the weekend.
And when
I find out the Jules result.
When did you move to Brighton, Joe?
About 11 years ago.
Right. So, I mean, that's interesting as well, because people move to Brighton because it's creative and artistic and liberal and all the rest of it. You didn't really expect, or, people who've lived here all their lives didn't really expect a Premier League team playing in European football to suddenly appear in the midst of the town. It's transformed the whole place, hasn't it?
Well, we talked about, do you remember we spoke about it, about the amount of young kids wearing Brighton shirts? And it was like, you said it's wonderful to see. You've got this generation coming.
I think that is the most successful thing the club's done. That's the measure of the success of having that local community interest from all walks of life. Like when I joined the club, you'd have one or two little kids in a group that would wear a Brighton shirt that their old man had made them put on. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Whereas now, they're home kit, away kit. That's all they wear. They're proper Brighton fans.
It really brings the town together. This club, when a club's doing well, you sense it through the town, in the town centre and stuff. And Brighton's definitely one of those towns. But I love going anywhere, any town, when I get off the train and you see loads of those shirts. Even not on match day. I love it. You go, going back to Leeds, I went up and saw Patrick come, and there's lots of Leeds is a town full of Leeds fans. Do you know what I mean? And that's a lovely thing to be involved in. And I do feel like, obviously got Brighton, lads from Brighton and other places where, I don't know, they're family from Liverpool and they're Liverpool fans. And I do think you miss out if you live in a town and you're not part of it. And I feel a bit like that. I'm there with my mates, but I'd love it if I was in a town all the time getting that joint experience, especially if you're in the Premiership and you're on the up.
We should talk about your comedy career as well, because, I mean, there are football analogies everywhere. I saw that I listened to your podcast the other day with Patrick Bamford about when you were on the receiving end of the questions and you flipped it, didn't you?
Yeah.
My Life in Comedy, and you compared, doing pub comedy in the early days to, that's grassroots football. That's like Dagenham and Redbridge, isn't it? And you're trying to get into the Premier League. So,
yeah.
And you did start at the bottom. You walked onto stage in a pub. Can you remember the first joke you told?
Not really, but what I remember is I'd never spoken into a microphone that obviously projects like sound out. That's the stupid thing to say. And I went, oh, because I could hear my voice, and I don't. When you do a lot of it, you don't hear that. You don't hear. You do a big theatre. Obviously, it's projecting the sound out. But I went, oh, and I just, that threw me completely. And then I don't remember, I think I spoke for about 7 minutes. I genuinely don't remember a single thing I said. It was like a blind panic thing, and then quite a lot of euphoria that it was over. But that's the only thing I remember, is just hearing my voice and going, well, that's loud.
As a first gag, that's not bad, actually. The comedian who's surprised that he's got a microphone.
Yeah.
How did it go?
Oh, not good. No, pretty bad. I think.
Really?
But the thing that you've got to understand about like grassroots comedy, which I've never called it that, but I will from now on. It's like another analogy. I'm really into analogies now. You brought up. Yeah. It's like playing on a pitch full of rubble. Like imagine like you're a hell of a player, but go and put like a bin on the pitch, some rubble, like broken glass.
You're starting to describe my childhood.
That's how he started.
It's weird because grassroots comedy is the people in the pub aren't interested. They think it's going to be crap. Like the more you do it, the bigger venues, the nicer the venues. People turn up. Like if you go and see Ricky Gervais or Rob Beckett or someone, you're going in there thinking this is going to be great,
and you're making an effort to go and see that person.
Yeah, exactly. But you're excited. You think you know they're good. You assume they're going to be good, and your expectations are like this is going to be great. You go to your local pub, and there's 4 or 5 people giving it a go first time. You are, and rightly so, going this is probably going to be crap. So it's really, really hard. So the audience aren't really up for it. They're like, see how embarrassing this is, so you have to sort of dig your way out of that. So it's like it's such a relief to get out of that pit of really bad gigs, because now I don't have to do that. Like, not be funny, your players here don't have to, every ball they kick is fully pumped, every pitch is flat. Every goal's got a net on it. You know what I mean? It's like they haven't. If they were still playing on the absolute shockers of hillsides and all that, they wouldn't be as good as they are.
Oh no, everything's private. So effectively, what you're saying is that the bigger you are, the easier it becomes because your fans are coming to watch you.
Yeah, and the venues are better. Like you go to a theatre, right? That theatre is set up for a performance of some kind.
And everyone's looking at it.
And all that. Yeah, exactly. And the sound does it. Right. There's so much that can go wrong with comedy. Comedy has to be any distraction ruins a gig. Say there's like a dripping tap in the back that you can hear, gig ruined. Someone drops a glass, gig ruined. A theatre is set up that everyone's looking in the right direction, listening, spotlight, bang, easy. The bigger the gig, the easier it is. Like if you playing to 2,000 people is easier than playing to 20 people. So
why? Because it's less intimate.
No, it's just set up for you. The energy's there. Like making 1,000 people laugh is easier than 10 people. It's just because it's a group activity. The sound the sound of laughter makes laughter.
Yeah.
You take like one person going ha. Dissipates completely straight away, and you're like, oh god, this is horrendous. So it's kind of like, I guess it's like a pitch. Your boys play on beautiful pitches in front of 10,000, 20,000, 30,000 people. That gets them G'd up. I don't know how, maybe this is something to in COVID when they had those empty stadiums. Was it? Do you know what I mean? It's like
awful.
Yeah, so
because there was no energy to feed off.
Exactly.
So because you work with Patrick up at Leeds, I'll use that as a reference, because I remember going to Leeds, and we conceded like 4 or 5 corners on the spin, and you know what the crowd are like up there, and honestly the pressure, you think, Jesus, like
it's intimidating, isn't it?
And you can feel that kind of, they're on top of you, they're gonna score in a minute, and you're just fighting for your life. Whereas if you done that in COVID, didn't matter. It was just another action on a football field.
I'm glad you mentioned that, because one of my favourite phrases was managers say, "We need to silence the crowd today." And when I hear that, I think, what are you worrying about their crowd for? But is that a thing? To shut their crowd up in the first 20 minutes?
There's nothing better as an away player of hearing moaning grunts from the home player from the home fans, because you know you're winning the battle.
Okay.
And also, when you think about their psychology and their players, like obviously they're thinking, getting like moans and groans at home, like, and you're on top. Do you know, it's sending a message that like quieting the crowd is like it's a massive thing,
right?
Especially somewhere like Leeds.
It's so. What is it about? It's like the kids, to mute out the sound.
Yeah.
I literally was like, I wouldn't mind one of these now, because the sound at the Ellen Road was like all hurt. It hurt being in the middle of it, and I was like, this cannot. I think it was the most intimidating crowd I'd been in and it's big ground, but it's not the biggest. It's something about that
passionate fans.
But it must be something to do with the sound, the way it just happens to spin round the stadium, because it was just a different level. You know, like even when the goal went in, just that felt like Christ.
I did like Ellen Road. It was one of my favourites.
Really?
You liked it?
It's a good one, yeah. And the changing rooms, I reckon they're the same size as this room. They're so tight.
So is the press box, by the way.
Yeah.
I tell you. What about? I mean, Liverpool must be similar, but I guess it's less hostile, isn't it? I always think Liverpool's the most intimidating atmosphere I've ever seen, just because if you walk out, even Man United used to hate going to Anfield. They still do, obviously, because they lose every time they go there now. But that's the place that I would imagine you walk out onto the pitch and think, we got no chance, or very little chance.
I think that all depends about who's on top at that moment. Do you know what I mean? Like when you walk out against like your Man United back in the day when they were in their pomp, it's like today's going to be a hard afternoon.
So is TV easier than, Joe, when you're working off a script and you're working with
Can I
great
ask
pros?
Joe a question quickly about while we're on gigs? Hecklers.
There's a myth with heckling. A, it doesn't happen very much, and B, none of them are useful. Like, it's a myth. Like, the thing, like, some people, like, if you're asking the audience stuff, or you want some, then that's different, because you're sort of, you want that interaction. But out of nowhere is death, basically, because it's just a distraction. You know what I mean?
It's a death for you, or for the person that's said it, because sometimes like people's comebacks are like incredible.
But that's just having to deal with that in the moment. Like if someone comes out and like goes to the audience and says, "Look, ask them whatever question and they get some stuff," then that's been set up as the arena. Do you know what I mean? Going, we're going to do this. Like, a lot of people come out and they do the first 20 minutes of going, like, interacting with the audience and making them look foolish or whatever, and that's great, because that's what they've turned the theatre into. Do you know what I mean? Going, this is what we're going to do. Like, someone like Lee Mack is probably the best at it. Like, his brain is insane. He's so quick, so funny. And I sort of supported him a little bit years ago, and he's so good at it that he has to do it at the end, because. And this isn't him showing off. He cannot follow himself doing that. It's too impressive.
Yeah, I worked with him on the 1% Club, and honestly, he was so funny.
He's brilliant. But him doing that for 20 minutes is just, you can't then just do jokes.
It's better than his
It's
stuff.
better than anything. Like, it's nothing against the quality of his jokes, because this is what he said. He's unfollowable doing that, so he has to do it at the end. But a lot of people start by that. It's a great thing to do, gets the audience all sort of having a good time and stuff. But when you then sort of essentially go into your act, your show, whatever, and people shout out, then that's the death of the show. Because Peter Kay was in the press the other day for someone kept shouting out garlic bread or something. And there was a lot of chat about whether he was right to kick him out, and he was. Because, in my opinion, because if we're talking here and your lovely sound producer guys that keeps shouting something, it's going to be meant.
Yeah.
We go, well, why does he keep shouting out? Have a conversation.
Right.
You know, you go, maybe once you go,
and he's spoiling it for others.
Yeah.
Essentially.
And it keep you like one time, sometimes it happens and it's dealt with and it move on. And some people in the audience, if they're smart, will go, part of the fun, he's put me down or she's put me down, move on. But some people keep going, and it's usually if they're drunk. There's a point where you go, well, they're not going to shut up, and people have paid a lot of money and travelled and had babysitters and whatever. We have to get rid of them. And I found it mad that people were like having a pop at him for making someone leave. You go, well, as I say, if your producer kept shouting, we'll probably ask him to leave.
Please don't do that. We need him.
Well, you'll see how badly I deal with it as well. Just shut up.
See, that is my worst nightmare. If ever I go and see a comedian or anything in particular, if my wife doesn't book the back 5 rows,
that's
like
sensible,
I am like I can't relax. I
Yeah.
can't enjoy it.
No.
If I was to get picked out, it'd be like devastating.
Yeah, I'm the same though. If I went, I would be the same. I can't. Yeah, because I know I'm this. Because when I watch something, I'm an audience member. You know what I mean? I'm not. That's not my job anymore. You know, and I have that same fear. Weirdly, I'm like, please don't embarrass me.
I remember
but the difference is you'd have a comeback. I wouldn't.
I very much doubt it.
I remember the Football Writers' Dinner one year that Michael McIntyre went round the room and he picked out every football manager in the room. A lot of them were real household names, big names, and he picked them out and he killed them. Yeah. And I like you, I felt so. I was laughing, but I was cringing at the same time. And the manager was they were trying to ride it, but he was so good at it.
Oh yeah, he's very talented. I gigged with him years ago, and there was a comedian who'd gone on. I won't name names, but he literally, it was about 100 people in, maybe 200, I can't remember. But Michael, this is so long ago. It was a normal club. Michael was comparing. I never met him, but I'd heard of it. He wasn't a household name, but like in the world of comedy, but everyone knew him. So the first act went on, and he died, but he didn't just die. He was like, he killed the room by sort of being quite like this. If you knew this act, you'd say, yeah, probably what I'd do. Anyway, like I was like going, oh my God, this gig's over. And Michael McIntyre was sitting there without a care in the world. And I was like, this is weird. Why is he not? Because he's got to go back up and deal with it straight after. I would say within 7 to 8 seconds, they'd forgotten about the first act, and Michael had them laughing their heads off again. And
that's an art, though.
Oh, he different level. I was just like, I don't know what he's done there.
Because I've been in rooms where comedians lost it, and it's like the most awkward thing ever. And I feel so bad for the comedian. So for him to do that and be able to,
I'm causing the awkwardness.
No, I wanted to ask you while you were here, who makes you laugh?
The greatest I ever saw or met or was involved with was Sean Locke. He's got the best. He had the best brain out of anyone. But I used to say, and I've said this before on other things, I used to say to other people, like, just don't compare yourself to him. There's no point. It's like Messi. You know, like, really? There's a lot of great footballers who are not Lionel Messi, who are fantastic footballers. You take him out, if you take Messi out of the equation, you go, gosh, I'm cracking. But you put him back in the equation, you go, yeah. And that was Sean for me. It's like, just write him off. Don't go, you're not going to get there. You're very unlikely, you know, like how many players have got near Messi, you know, Maradona, Pele, you know, it's once every 20, 30
generation.
Years.
Yeah, that was the consensus when he died. So he was the comedian's comedian.
Yeah, he was unbelievable. Yeah. He just had the most incredible brain. And it was like just hilarious, obviously, but just the way he thought was... There's a thing, and I'm sure you know this, but sometimes you can sort of see where someone's going, especially if you work in comedy. You sort of know what someone's doing or where they're going, but you could never do that with Sean. You know, I guess with football, you sort of, there's players like Messi who you go, well, how do you do that? You know, even when you're a footballer, you go, what the hell was that? And that was Sean. And John Richardson summed it up when he passed, where he said, he said he was, and I agree with the sentiment, he said, I was a huge fan of Sean Locke before I got to work with him, and that did not change. Like, even with, you know, I was lucky enough to work with Sean for like 10 plus years, and my admiration for him got like greater. I didn't, you know, because sometimes you sort of see behind the curtain and you go, just same and more, basically.
I've got a real nerd's question for you, because you do stand-up, you do, you know, comedy drama like Afterlife, but you also do panel shows. And they're quite different skills, aren't they? And what are the golden rules that connect all those types of comedy?
I don't know if they're necessarily linked. Like, I feel really lucky that get to do a few different things. Like I write, I do stand up, do a bit of acting, do a bit of panel shows. And they're all, I've been, every time I've got the opportunity to do one, it felt like starting again, if I'm honest. It wasn't like, you could transfer much from that to that. It's a completely new set of rules. So like acting was probably the thing that was most kind of out of the lane I was in. And I think with acting, and I'll probably get shouted at by actors, I think you turn up and you can either do it or you can't. and that's, maybe I'm completely wrong, but like, you just sort of go, can I? And they go, yeah, kind of. Oh, thank God. and I was like, I haven't had any training of it. And I was doing comedy and stuff, and I got an audition for this thing, to act in this thing. And I luckily I got it. And I was like, sorry, can I do, I'm not swearing.
That's fine.
Acting in something. Oh my God, this is insane. And I know people say this all the time, but I genuinely was waiting for, like, I'd say for the first week, waiting for someone to go, this isn't working. You can't do this. Like, we gave it a whirl. There's footballers out there. There's footballers out there. Bloody hell, that's insane. Like, footballers.
Who have you seen now? Just top footballers, basically.
Oh my God, right. Please hide me. I'm blushing. Oh my God. Oh my Lord.
Danny Welbeck's just walked past.
This is too much. Oh my God.
Joe Pedro.
Oh my God. All of them.
It's the A-list.
Oh, that was too much. God almighty.
I've got to ask you while you're here, Afterlife.
Oh, yes.
And there's Diego Gomez, by the way.
Oh, yeah. That's too much. Do you ever get used to... Oh, well, of course you do. But I'm like, there's Matoma. Well, my God.
You have to see them...
He's got a nice touch. No chance. Don't make me do that.
You have to see them eating a bowl of salad and then you just realise they're human.
Yeah.
Just like us.
I'll never think like that. I can't stop seeing these things. Oh, there's Bobby Zamora again this week. That's insane.
We put this on for you. We asked them all to walk
I'm
past.
surprised.
Is that AI or something?
Sure,
sorry, I got
they all
completely
must be
distracted.
in the meeting.
Oh, sorry. Completely.
Messi is in today as well, isn't he? Come for a visit.
Yeah, no, I wanted to ask you about Afterlife.
Yes,
and how that came about. Was it through the comedy? Was it through Ricky Gervais, or did you have to sit down? And,
I did some stuff for Ricky a few years ago in another sitcom we did called Derek, and then I became friends with Ricky, and he's a lovely bloke, very funny, genuinely like stupidly funny. And then I was at home and he phoned up and we were having a chat, and he goes to me, you wouldn't do me a favour, would you? Would you play this postman character in a new show I'm doing? And I went, yeah, of course. And he went, cool, all right, well, I'll get someone to give you a bell. That's it.
Brilliant.
That's it. And I went, all right. And the thing is, like, I don't know if Netflix was that massive at the time, because obviously it takes a few years for these things to... But I didn't obviously have a clue it was going to be enormous or anything. But that was it. And I didn't ask for a script because it's Ricky, and I didn't know what the character he wanted me to play, and then just turned up and did it. And Ricky's makes everything fun. It's really fun. So that's, it's a nice thing to do, but it also gets a lot of good stuff out of people because they're relaxed and enjoying it. But that was it. It was just literally a phone call on a Wednesday morning, probably 4 or 5 minute chat. And then I'll get someone to give you a bell about it.
Like he was ringing you up to come and check his boiler or something.
Yeah. It was really understated, but obviously I didn't know what it was going to turn into. Otherwise, I'd probably been a little less nonchalant about it myself.
I don't know why this question's popped into my mind when we speak about Ricky Gervais, but just in I suppose society at the moment, is wokeness happening? Is it helping comedy or hindering it?
I don't think it's...
Is it something else to poke fun at?
Well, for me personally, I try not to make fun of anyone anyway. And it doesn't really, it doesn't really change anything, really. It's like people make fun of stuff, whatever it is. There's nothing you can't make fun of, obviously. It's just how you do it and the intent and...
Just because we see a lot of comedians very, very close to the line, don't we? And Ricky's one of those.
Yes, but the thing is, Ricky will justify everything. If you ask him about any joke, he'll have a reason he's done it and justify it. Like, I think, there were and have been comedians that didn't have a very nice intent to what they were saying, and that's the problem. Do you know what I mean? If you're not worried about hurting someone, or you're just doing it because it's fun, you think it's funny, then you've got to be a little bit more on top of those things. I used to do a joke. This is the only example. I used to do a joke about someone, and it wasn't particularly hurtful or anything. It wasn't hurtful at all. It was a silly joke about their autobiography. I gave it a stupid name and I said why it was called this thing, and I doubt anyone would take offence to it. But I then walked past them in the street, and this was going back like 15, 16 years, and I went, would I do the joke in front of them? And it really humanised them, and I went, well, I don't want even like 1% of them to feel like, oh, why are you doing that? And then I never did it again, and it wasn't particularly hurtful in that, but that's my stance on it. Do you know what I mean? And majority of what I do, unless someone is in total and utter, in real, you're talking about Donald Trump before you go, I've got no problem with that, punching up or whatever. But someone who's just in the media and just doing their job or whatever, and decent person, I don't want them 1% of them going, oh, why'd you do that, pal?
Yeah.
But if they're not a very nice person, they're probably not a very nice person, and you don't think their intentions are great, that's obviously completely different. But if someone's just doing their job, someone who's a TV presenter or whatever and doing their best or whatever, I wouldn't want them.
So, Joe, you're about to captain the Rocking Horse All-Stars against the Brighton Legends on March 22 at Worthing FC. The match aims to raise funds for the Trevor Mann Baby Unit and the Royal Alexandra Children's Hospital. How did you end up with a captaincy role? And how good are you going to be in the actual game?
Have they seen you play? More of an organizer, I think. Paul.
Yeah. Can you be a captain from the bench? I think it's hopefully
player manager.
How do I get roped in? Do you know what? I think the captaincy thing happened around me. I never signed up to be captain. I think I signed up to be a squad player. But we haven't got a full 11 yet, so I think I might be playing the 90. Every one of I've got some mates playing. I've got John Richardson playing, Maisie Adams, Matthew Bainton from Ghosts, Kyle from Ghosts. Who else? God, I'm going to leave someone. Paul Galton from the Traitors, but he's decent. Okay. He's apparently very good. And every single one of them.
So you've got one good player.
Yeah, so far. Yeah. But every single one of them said, "I definitely can't play 90 minutes."
Do you know what that reminds me of? I did a game for, I think it was Nike, and I was a manager for 1-11, and I started with 14 players and I ended with 9. And the intensity, so the game was at the Amex, and the intensity of the game for the first 10 minutes was insane, and then for the next 80 minutes it was the slowest game of football I have ever watched, honestly.
Walking football, yeah.
Well, that's the thing, when you watch, it really makes me laugh if you ever play like a game of 11. Last time I played a game of 11 aside, like when you watch you guys play, it really makes me laugh, because obviously top football movement all the time. When you see a photograph of I'm going to say normals playing football, there's only ever 2 people running, and those are the 2 people nearest the ball. Everyone else is so static, just stood there getting their breath.
And even the 2 that are running aren't running in the right direction.
No, there's a lot of sort of, oh God, it's me again, is it? But but we're playing also. Charlie Baker was going to play for us the TalkSport presenter, but he's had to drop out, unfortunately. But I spoke to him about it, and he said he played in, because we're playing a load of Brighton legends, and he phoned me up and he went, just to warn you, whatever age they are, however the last time they played, don't matter, they are going to batter you. And he was like, he was so intense. He was like, they will batter you. It doesn't matter if they're 70, 75, they will batter you. And I was like, stop saying batter you. Please.
Well, to try and get people down, help get people there are some of the Brighton legends, Guy Butters, Gary Hart, Baz Savage and Dean Cox. As we know, there's no guarantee that they'll all turn up because things get in the way, injuries mainly.
We need to shout out Gary Hart on this pod, don't we? We want him on. We can't quite pin him down.
Glenn is desperate to get Gary Hart on here with good reason.
Will it be in a glow of smashing us 42-0? So maybe on the 23rd.
Battering you 42-0. Just keep the word batter in mind.
Well, I think, I'm not just saying it, if we can keep it to single figures.
I think you do very, very well.
Yeah, I really, because I asked, right, I've got a question.
It depends what kind of mood they're in.
Oh God, this is.
I mean, it's a charity game. Do you know
I know, but you get carried away, don't you?
You swap a few players though.
Well, bloody right, we are half time. If we are 20-0 down, like genuinely, what would your prediction be if you're a betting man by half time? And if they've gone. All right, the lads,
I haven't seen a lot of these lads for a long time.
Don't lose interest at 10, Joe. Don't worry, they won't go to 20.
Do you reckon if they'll go for it and they'll be
the same as you as well? Like they won't be fit anymore. They'll be pulling up and pulling things. And you've got to think as well. Their mind thinks that they can still act like they used to, and their body doesn't allow them to.
We need them to think they're still in good nick and something to go. Yeah. That's a worry, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh my God, I'm so. But yeah, I'm excited about it. But the reality after talking to Charlie was
that as he pulled out, did he drop that ball?
Yeah. Well, if you were playing 11 aside, like you were still playing, you were sort of in your last season or whatever, and you played against us with that level of player, what would you genuinely think you could do? And like for charity, so if it was like we're gonna give you £1,000 for every goal you put through past these Muppets, how much do you reckon you could get?
I reckon you'd be in the 40s. Like
wow. There's
nothing motivates a footballer like money.
Christ, you could do us 40. That would be. God, what's that a minute? So that's scoring every
30 seconds, isn't it? Or 28 seconds or something?
Over 90 minutes. So two and a bit minutes.
Sorry, 2 minutes.
So you've got to get the ball off us
between 30 and 40. Well, when you think about the time, I would think.
Even the logistics of putting the ball back's going to eat up some time. I would be putting the ball. So how would we keep it down? We'd have to.
Stand on the goal line?
I'm just thinking keeping hold of the ball, like playing it to the corner. Like
you won't be able to do that. You won't keep the ball, but you might be able to make them laugh so much they can't think straight.
Well, no chance. I might have to actually. That'd be amazing. I'd love to watch that.
You're not going to sleep now. No. You've got about 2.5 weeks to this game. You're not going to sleep a week.
Please come down and watch us get better.
Fitness regime going well?
Do you know what? The last time I played 5-a-side round here actually over there. On a Monday night, but the difference between 11 aside is unbelievable.
It's like a pool table and a snooker table, isn't it?
The ball goes over your head in 5-a-side. Obviously, hits the fence and it's at your feet or whatever. Oh yeah, and you go, I've not. It's 30 yards away. I haven't run 30 yards ever. Yeah, it's looking good. So please come down and watch us. Actually, don't come down.
That'll be good. It'll be a good afternoon. It'll be a good afternoon.
Well, I reckon we've sold it, Joe. We've sold it to everybody listening to this podcast. Again, it's the Rocking Horse charity football match at Worthing FC on March 22. And Joe will be captaining and taking a free kick that was better than the one you took at Ellen Road.
There's no way.
There's no
way. I'm handing over any responsibility free kick was. I don't. Yeah. Oh God. Where can I play do least damage? That's what I'm fullback. But all we need,
right back.
Right back.
You can hide it right back.
Yeah. I'll hide it. Well, you're about to see someone hide at fullback.
6'4", hiding it right back. Joe, before we let you go, I know you've got a really big special birthday on the horizon.
Well, I've just had it.
Oh,
you following Wikipedia?
I'm following Wikipedia.
Yeah. Well, there's my Wikipedia.
You've just had it. Well, happy birthday.
Thank you. I've just turned 50. Yeah. Do you know why?
Did you change that?
I'll tell you what happened. I did a joke. This is how mad the world is, right? I did a joke on TV years ago that I suspected I'd been separated at birth with David Beckham, and I went on about all the similarities with it. And I jokingly said, "We're born on the same day. We have the same level, like same high cheekbones, all this sort of stuff." Did a big thing. Obviously, a joke. Someone the following day went, "Oh, he's born on the same day as David Beckham." So that's David Beckham.
Yeah. Brilliant. Well, thank you very much for coming.
Thank you for having me
on the pod, Joe. It was brilliant.
Yeah,
extremely funny. Never stop laughing, as we expected.
I do feel a fraud being in your Academy of Excellence. I'll be honest with you.
Well, so do I. Don't worry about it. It's fine.
What a place.